Commission presents The Forerunner, written by Colm Flanagan. Episode 2, His Name is John.
I've spent quite a bit of time on the story of how John came to be born, because it's important to understand why he was so special. And the connection to his second cousin, Jesus, was made right from the start. Mary, the girl who was to be mother of Jesus, stayed with Elizabeth and Zachariah for nearly 6 months. Then the time came for Elizabeth to give birth, and the day was an exhausting but happy one for all of them. Her baby boy was born, and everyone rejoiced. He was a healthy child. Mary then went home to Nazareth. Her time would come in a more dramatic circumstance later that year. After 8 days, as Jewish law required, they brought the child to the synagogue to perform the rite which confirmed his membership of the Jewish race and to give him his name. And it was then that something unusual happened.
And now, what are you going to give this little boy as a name, Elizabeth? I presume you've discussed it with Zachariah. He's a sturdy child. Are you going to give him his father's name, or that of one of the prophets?
No, we've discussed it though. His name is John.
John? That's an unusual name. None of your family or of Zachariah's, as far as I know, have that name. Elizabeth, are you sure?
Ask Zachariah if you don't believe me. Here's the tablet to write on.
Well, it might be best. After all, it is the father's duty to make sure that...
Then you'd better get on with it, hadn't you?
Yes. Oh, Zachariah, what is it? Oh, you want the writing tablet, of course. Here you are. You want to write? His name is John. You are sure? Yes, you are. Oh, very well.
Yes, that is what the Lord commanded me.
Oh, Zachariah.
This is what he said when his messenger spoke to me in the temple. He said, "You will name him John." And so we have.
Oh, Zachariah, you can speak again. Oh, my love, that's wonderful.
Yes, my dear. And we have our miraculous child now. I know he will grow to be a great man of God. Praise the Lord. You, my son, will be called a prophet of God in heaven above. You will go ahead of the Lord to get everything ready for him. You will tell his people they can be saved from their wrongdoing, and God's love and kindness will shine upon us all our days.
And so it would be. News of this unusual child began to spread round the area. Indeed, for a while people talked of little else, as is the way in small towns. For a child to be born to such elderly parents was itself unusual, but that it was the work of the Lord, and that this child would be specially blessed of God, well, that was something else again. Of course, as John grew and these events faded in most people's memories, things appeared to settle down and go back to normal. Many folk in the little Judean town expected that when John grew up, he would follow his father into the temple priesthood. It seemed a natural progression, and hadn't the Lord more or less told them that he was to be special? What could be more special than a priest? But John showed no particular desire to do that, and to people's surprise, Zachariah didn't appear to be unduly concerned. Neither did Elizabeth. It was strange. The two old people loved their son, and it was clear that their love was returned, for they were a very happy family. John grew up a strong man, yet he did not marry or move away, even when he was in his 30s. Then, one day, Zachariah found John sitting in an olive grove on a hillside just outside the town.
Ah, my son, it's hot, isn't it? I'm not so good at climbing as I was. Oh, thank goodness for the shade.
Yes.
Are you feeling all right, son?
Well, yes and no.
What do you mean?
Father, Can I ask you something?
Of course.
How did you feel all those years ago when you saw the angel at the altar of the temple?
Frankly, I was terrified. Even when he spoke to me and told me not to be afraid, I was. Why do you ask?
I believe that God has spoken to me.
I see.
You don't seem very surprised.
Well, in a way, I've been wondering whether something like that might happen someday. I wasn't sure if I'd live to see it, John. Remember, you were born long after we believed such a thing would be possible. The angel told me you'd be special in the eyes of the Lord, so in a way I've been waiting and wondering when that call to his service would come.
Well, it's not to go into the temple, Father. I know you would have liked me to have been a priest.
Well, I won't deny it, but I never wanted to pressure you in that way. You must do what you believe the Lord wants you to do. But what is it? What does he want you to do?
That's the difficult part. I'm not sure, but I think I know the first step. Look, let's go home. I'd like Mother to be there when I tell you what I believe the Lord wants me to do now. So I believe that the Lord wants me for a special job. And because of that, I must leave and go out into the desert and wait until he reveals his will to me.
Oh, my son, that's hard.
Yes.
But you must do it. I always knew this day would come. Do you not think that your father and I have talked about what would become of our special son?
We know that God has placed his hands on you. We have done what we can for you. Now you must follow your call.
Go, with our blessing.
Oh, Mother.
Son.
Father.
Yeah, so what now?
I must set out.
Yes, but where? Are you just going to start walking?
Well, I must go out to the desert places, as I said.
Yes, but did the Lord say that you had to be alone there?
Well, no, but...
Then I have a suggestion. Why not go to the Essenes, at least for a while?
The Essenes?
Yes, they have a community living near the shores of the Dead Sea. They're a very strict group of our people who devote their lives to becoming pure in God's sight. I'm not that familiar with them, but they follow the purification laws of our people. They're good folk. You might learn from them.
True. Very well then. I'll set off just as soon as I can get ready.
But not before I pack you some things you'll need, John. I'll give you a few good home-cooked meals to help you on your way. I'm sure these Essenes don't eat that well. If your father's abilities are anything to go by, religious folks usually don't make good cooks.
John set out from the hill town in Judea, which had been his home for over 30 years. He was never to see his parents again, for both of them died quite soon after he had left. But he didn't know about that until much later. He made his way eastwards towards the sea. Soon he arrived at the Essene community in Qumran, which is where I met him for the first time.
Shalom, brother. Peace be with you.
And also with you. Have I come to the right place? Is this the place of the Essenes? Qumran?
Yes, indeed it is. My name is Hosea, and I'm a member of this community. You are welcome to stay long or short. Will you tell me your name?
Yes, of course. I'm John. I don't know how long I'll be here. That's in God's hands.
Well, that is true for all of us. Come, I'll introduce you to some of our leaders, and then we shall see about somewhere for you to eat and sleep while you are here. The day's nearly over, and it's cold here at nights. Come with me.
So you're the one we've been hearing about from Hosea here. John, your name is. Your father is a temple priest, I understand. Zachariah.
That's right. Thank you for your hospitality. Everyone here has been very kind.
And he brought you up to be polite too. I see. Tell me, John, why did you come here?
It was my father's suggestion, although...
Just that?
No. You see, I had a calling from the Lord. But as yet, I don't know exactly what it is that he wants of me. I somehow felt that I had to leave home and travel out into the desert where the Lord can speak more clearly to me. My father suggested I come here.
We also seek the Lord through purification and prayer. What do you know of our ways here?
Only a little, but I'd like to learn more.
That's good. You will. You know that to become an Essene, as they call us, you must undergo 3 years of training. Hosea here is soon to complete this time. He will help us guide you. But I think perhaps the Lord has something greater in mind for you, John, than the solitary life or even life in a community such as ours. But we shall see. Now, it is time for us to be gathering for the evening meal.
John was to stay for some time with our community, but it soon became clear to me that he wasn't likely to ever become a full member of the Essenes. There was a restlessness about him. So you see, John, the idea is to live as simple a life as possible, even in what we eat. God provides us with all our requirements. Even in desert areas, you'd be surprised at what can be done.
Like what? I don't see anything much that looks edible here. And there are no fish in the Dead Sea. There's too much salt in it.
Well, many of the insects in the desert produce a kind of honey. We call it wild honey. It's very nutritious, though less sweet than the normal bee's honey. And you can eat the locusts.
Locusts? Are you serious?
Oh yes, I know they're considered a terrible scourge when they get among the farmers' crops, but there are ways you can make them perfectly edible. You should talk to some of our cooks, as if you really want to know more about it.
Yes. I'll maybe do that.
On another evening, we had a long conversation which made me wonder just what was going on in John's mind. I realised later, of course.
You all spend a great deal of time washing, don't you, Hosea?
Yep, we take the whole business of washing and purification before God very seriously indeed. Cleanliness is so important. And it's a kind of sign too, if you see what I mean.
I don't. What sort of a sign?
A sign that we are turning our backs on the things in the world outside that would make us less pure before God.
But isn't that only relevant if you're prepared to live differently as well?
Well, of course we do that. It's necessary to undergo the purification washing every day.
That wasn't quite what I meant, though, Hosea.
I began to realise that John was thinking very deeply about all of this. He took part in the community activities, but all along I had the feeling that there was something more he was waiting for. What was going on in his head? My new friend was a mystery to me at times. He clearly felt that our way was lacking something. But what? By now, most of us had heard the story of his remarkable, even miraculous birth after the Lord had spoken to his father. But John had only told a few that the Lord had spoken to him, and he hadn't told any of us what the Lord had actually said. Maybe he didn't know himself, I thought. Then one day, he made a decision which was to have momentous consequences for him, and for me also.
In The Forerunner, Hosea was played by Peter Richardson and John the Baptist by David Campton. Other parts were played by members of the Commission drama team. The series was written and produced by Colm Flanagan at Commission Studios in Belfast. Episode 3 is entitled Going to the River.